You might be wondering, Nick, is this really necessary? And the problem is, from everything that I've seen, it absolutely is, because some of you guys don't understand how basic biology works, or just basic science in general. You know, given my knowledge in physiology and in biology, you know, based on my medical background, seeing as how I work in the medical profession as a job, and I am a licensed medical professional, but that does not make me a licensed doctor. So, disclaimer, I am not a licensed medical doctor. You know, obviously do with that what you will, YouTube. This is not proctored medical advice. This is simply educational. I figured why not use my knowledge to show you guys exactly why I am correct. Because it seems a lot of people just don't quite understand why saying something as stupid as
"you're just mad because you can't play it"
isn't really a valid argument. So let's dive in, shall we? For those of you who have no idea exactly what's going on in this video, you're probably wondering, who the heck is this guy? Your name is Nick, that's all I can really gather from this. But what's this video about? You just got a whiteboard out saying how he faked it, and you're talking about, you know, you got Aaron Kitcher in the thumbnail title. What's this whole video about? To recap for all the people who are coming in brand new to this, not the veterans who have, you know, seen all these videos prior. That was cool, I didn't expect to catch that. Several months ago, I posted a video talking about the drummer for Infant Annihilator, Aaron Kitcher. And in the video, I expressed that based on the, you know, evidence that I could see in the video and evidence that I could find also outside of the video, Aaron Kitcher did not play along to the drums on, you know, the video that we saw. What they did was they took the studio recording of the drums, or more the program drums that they used in studio, turned up the volume, and placed those over top of a video of him miming along to the song. I did say in the video I thought Aaron Kitcher was a good drummer. All I said was that he basically mimed along in the song, and that it wasn't actually him playing in the song, that he technically faked the video. I made that video, it did pretty well, and then it just kind of slowed down after a little bit, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I was still getting maybe like 2 or 3 hate comments on it every day, but I was like, yeah, you know what, whatever. Then one day my phone started blowing up because out of nowhere, apparently, Ellis DePario Saberiano put out a video regarding Aaron Kitcher and giving him very high praise for the same playthrough, saying that he was an excellent drummer and that it was crazy that he could do that. The only problem is that he didn't do it, and the evidence is right there. And I made a video responding to that saying basically, yeah, look guys, this isn't possible to play. And I gave several reasons for it. I said physiologically it's not possible, you know, mechanically your pedals are gonna have limits as well, and you know, obviously physically we're gonna have limits as well as humans. There's only so fast that we can go. And that ticked a lot of people off. A lot of people decided to start commenting on both the videos saying stuff like,
"you're just mad because you can't play it."
Just because you can't do it doesn't mean someone else can.
Well, this is what this video is here for. We're going to go into the depth of science, our knowledge of science, our knowledge of physiology, explain and demonstrate using graphs and using the knowledge that we have that is also readily available online if you just do a couple of minutes of research, several reasons as to why Aaron Kitcher cannot actually play at that speed, at that same power, and how in reality the video is indeed mimed along to. Because believe it or not, there are still people that believe that it actually did happen and that he's just using triggers, when in reality that's just not the case, buddy. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, all of our sources are going to be down below in the description, so that way you can go and read the articles yourself. Now, these articles are coming from valid and authenticated sources. We're going to be using medical articles. We're going to be using physical fitness articles as well, seeing as how they have a very in-depth knowledge of physiology, as well as other published studies that are available. So let's go ahead and dive in. Before we start though, I check my YouTube analytics as any good creator should, and only about 0.7% of you guys are actually subscribed to the channel. What are you guys doing with your lives? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. We do a lot of fun stuff and a lot of videos just like this on here. We're going to have a lot more fun content coming your way, so stick around. It's going to be a fun journey. Starting off, let's go ahead and make a little graph here. Let's label this top part power, and let's label this bottom part speed. Forgive me because my handwriting is not that great. Suck it up and deal with it. Now let's go ahead and explain what's going to be happening on this graph. So, obviously, this is going to be 0.0. So on this graph right here, we're going to have low power and low speed, and at the uppermost parts of our longitudinal and latitudinal, right? Yeah, I think that's how you say it. I don't really remember. We're gonna have the high points. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So for one, why are we using these two measures right here, power and speed? Well, mainly because power and speed have a very interesting correlation with each other. They're inversely correlated. Now, what does that mean? Imagine that you have, say, for example, a little metal washer. You know the little metal discs that you put in between screws and whatnot to give it a little bit extra space between whatever you're, you know, screwing together and whatnot? Say, for example, you have that metal washer and you put a little rope in the middle and tie a knot on each end so that way the rope can't slip out of the washer. Set the washer down so that way it's standing straight up and you have the rope in between the washer. Set up equal distance apart. If I pull the rope a little bit to one side, right, so that more of the rope is on one side than the other side's going to have less rope on the other side, right? Now, inversely, if I pull the side that has less rope and pull it back over so there's more rope on that side than the other, see how they're inversely related? That's the same kind of relationship that we have with power and speed. If I want to have more power, then I'm going to have to use less speed, and if I want more speed, I'm going to have less power. So let's go ahead and let's set the extremes as far as how the graph is going to go. If I want the highest amount of power, I'm going to have to set the lowest amount of speed. And inversely, if I want the highest amount of speed, I'm going to have to set the lowest amount of power. Let's do a little quick demonstration using the drum pad and a drumstick, since this is a music-based channel anyway. If I want to have high speed, I'm going to have to sacrifice power in order to achieve that high speed and continue my endurance going for as long as I want it to go. Now, inversely, if I want to have high power and I want to keep that going with the same amount of endurance and be able to, continue that as best as I can, I'm going to have to sacrifice speed in order to keep that going and to keep that consistent. Where the two are on the graph, as far as their most extreme points, are inversely related. This is the part that gets a little bit tricky because there is a cutoff. Now, how steep is the cutoff, you might ask? Well, it's a straight line. Because the two are inversely related, as I start declining on my power, my speed can start increasing, and again, inversely, as my speed starts decreasing, my power can increase. So, say for example, if I wanted to do a demonstration of what this would look like and sound like, if I wanted to go with more power and switch that out for more speed, I'm going to have to slowly reduce my power to be able to keep up with the speed that I'm going with. And inversely, if I wanted to switch to from more speed down to less speed and have more power, I'm going to have to do that. Think about it like a boxer. A boxer has, say for example, like a jab, right? There are two different types of jabs that boxers have. They have feeler jabs, right, where they're just basically using that to feel it out. And then they have jabs where they're actually trying to hit you. Now, what does a feeler jab do? A feeler jab is just basically you tossing it out there. It doesn't have a lot of power behind it or anything like that. It's just testing to see what the other guy's guard is going to do. So you're not really worried about power. You're just kind of putting the speed out there a little bit, not too powerful. But if you want to start adding power to it, your jab is going to have to slow down. That's probably the easiest way that I can explain that. Seeing as how these two are inversely related, I'm sure I don't really need to go into any more further explanation on it. There's your graph right there. Now, we've already discussed basically the basis of the relation and correlation inversely between power and speed, so let's go ahead and break down the next part of it, which is going to be my favorite part, talking about physiology, the muscles, biology, and all that other fun stuff. So, let's go ahead and let's talk about the two different types of muscle groups that we have. Musculus. Let's put in a little black box right here. Muscles. We have two different types of muscle fibers, or really just two different types of muscle types to really broadly narrow it down. White muscle fiber, and we have red muscle fiber. Now, that's very broadly narrowed down. There's a whole bunch of other different types out there, such as, say, for example, sinew, tendons, and stuff like that, but that's not what we're talking about right here. We're just talking about these two simply because this will be the easiest way to explain it without going into a massive amount of detail, and this video being over an hour long. So, what is the function of each one of these muscle types do? Well, for one, white is involved with twitch response. It is the most involved with twitch response. Red muscle fiber is most involved in stamina. Where are we going to see this played out in the most, say for example, in the real world? Well, one of the perfect places to look at is sports. We're going to see more instances of white muscle fiber used in sports such as basketball, MMA, tennis even, things that are going to require a very fast twitch muscle response, moving around a whole lot, and stuff like that. Where are we going to see more red muscle fiber involved? Well, that's going to be things that are more endurance-based. Long distance running, marathons, triathlons, biking, hiking, stuff like that. Stuff that's going to require not necessarily the twitch response, but more endurance regardless. Seeing as how I don't need to move so fast when it comes to a long distance run, I just have to keep on going. Because it's not about outrunning my enemies instantly, it's about outpacing them. Think about that next time you go into a battle. Okay, so now that we've broken down these two different types of muscle fibers, let's take a look at the actual muscle fiber involved in your calf, which is going to be the predominant driver of, say, for example, base technique. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the main driver of ankle technique per se, which is what we're going to be more focused on because that's what was claimed to be used in the video. All right, let's give this guy a big old monster calf so that way we can take a look at this. Right, let's give him like a pretty decent sized foot. Poor drawing, but you know, bear with me. The calf is divided into 3 separate parts, mainly. There's a bunch of other muscle groups that is subdivided into, but let's just break it down this way. So this is gonna be the whole calf unit. So this first part right here, gastrocnemius. This second part right here, Achilles tendon. This part right here, the soleus. All 3 of these muscle groups that are listed right here are going to contribute to ankle technique. Now, here's the thing. There is a limit to how fast these muscle groups can perform motions and how long they can perform those quick motions for. You remember how we talked about how these are the 2 different muscle group types out there, the white and the red muscle fibers? Well, here's the thing. As I discussed already, white muscle is more in response for twitch, red muscle is more in response for stamina. The thing is that white muscle is, you know, being the twitch muscle that it is, it's not necessarily built for stamina. And with that being said, the stamina points that are used in white muscle fibers are very low, mainly because it's not used to store a lot of nutrients and a lot of things like creatine, proteins, several different vitamins and minerals such as magnesium, potassium, calcium, etc., all of which are used towards muscle function. That is all stored here in the red muscle. So therefore, with that being said, we have to think about this and take into account, okay, well, seeing as how those, you know, white muscle fibers can't store as much nutrients and whatnot, and they're not made for long endurance or anything like that, how long and how fast can we go for? See, here's the thing. That limit is different per person. Let's just real quick break down the BPMs that are used in the song. So, in the song in question, which is Blank Crusher, because I don't want to say the word here, you know what I'm saying? Most common BPM found in the song is 270. Now, for the most part, the song is written in 270 BPM using 16th notes. Totally feasible. Happens all the time in metal drumming. It's not undeniable that he can play that. The only thing that was in question was that he can't keep up that same high power with that same high speed, because those 2 are very inversely correlated. Things don't add up. So here's the thing. Most of the song is written in that speed at 16th notes. Now, here's the thing. That's pretty darn quick. I will give you that for sure. That is very darn quick. However, during the breakdown, things switch up a little bit. Things go to about 118 BPM, right? Using this for certain parts of the breakdown. That's ridiculously fast. So just to give you a little bit of perspective here, would be 236 BPM using 32nd notes. If we wanted to relate it all the way down to 16th notes, we're gonna have to quadruple this time. And so we get a ridiculous tempo at 16th notes of this. 472 ppm using 16th notes if we wanted to give it a little bit of extra different perspective. I'm not buying that. And here's the thing, even if he was using double strokes, I still wouldn't necessarily buy that, simply for a couple different reasons. That tempo right there, I don't know if you know how fast it is, but there isn't really a song out there that's written in that tempo. Now, I'm sure there's some few obscure grindcore bands that are out there that I'm sure they're like, oh, 472 BPM. Not fast enough. See, I already know just per se, right? If the limit for a lot of drummers is going to cap out about right here, or even let's just give drummers the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that the cap, the theoretical cap, just to give a lot of drummers the benefit of the doubt, because you got to remember, there's not a large percentage of drummers that can reach tempos that quick, so already as it is, that puts you at a top tier drummer. Let's just say the theoretical cap is 370 BPM using 16th notes. So already as that is, that's insanely fast. And I don't think people quite understand exactly how fast that is. So I will put a little sound demonstration right here, you know, just to give you guys a little bit of a demo of how quick that is. Yeah, that's pretty fast as you can hear. What we're supposed to believe is that this man's feet can travel this damn quickly, for an extended period of time. I'm going to put a high likelihood of doubt on that for a couple of different reasons. See, here's the thing. We have the 2 muscle fiber groups, right? White muscle fibers and red muscle fibers. But here's the thing. There's 2 little subcategories of white muscle fibers that we'll need to know about. See, right here, we'll have to go to the side real quick. We have fast twitch and slow twitch. So first of all, the soleus. Solius is slow twitch, and we'll just abbreviate it by now, just calling it slow TW. The gastrocnemius, that one is fast twitch. In several different comprised studies, what people have found and what scientists and doctors have found is that the soleus actually takes up a majority of the calf muscle as far as the usage when it comes to slow twitch muscles and stuff like that, almost up to 75%. See, the gastrocnemius, that one actually takes up the smaller majority of those twitch muscles, but it is part of the fast twitch muscles, which means that it's doing a majority of the leg work when it comes to faster tempos. First of all, as we showed in the audio sample prior, that's pretty heckin' fast to do for single leg regular old ankle motion. That just doesn't sit well with me for a couple different reasons. Based on all the research that I could try and find regarding, twitch response and how quickly, we can reset with reflex responses and stuff like that, Kitcher would have to have as fast of a reflex response as a cat. And I'm sure some of you guys are probably not really aware, but cats have about anywhere from 10 to 5 times faster reflex responses than humans do, which means that their twitch muscle fibers can move 5 to 10 times faster. That's pretty ridiculously fast, and realistically, I don't think that's possible. Now, of course, this is all hypothetical, so let's actually break down the science of it. Now, based on the video with Kitcher, with how his feet were moving in the video, his feet were moving a lot when it came to the really fast part in the breakdown, so this is where we're going to talk about some things. Now, as we mentioned prior, with the graph, there's a correlation between power and speed. Now, one of the key notes of this correlation between power and speed is actually stick height, and this comes in handy especially when it comes to hand technique. See, if you'll notice, when I'm doing a high power, right, on finger technique, you notice how my stick height's actually coming up a pretty good distance? That's not too bad. That's about like what? I'd say it's about like, let's say, looking at it, we'll say close to about 8 inches or so, somewhere around there. This seems pretty realistic. Maybe if I can't drop the stick next time, that would help. See, as I'm starting to increase the speed though, notice how my stick height drops. That is because in order for me to achieve that higher speed, I need much less of an area for the rebound to happen in, because I'm using less power in order to achieve that speed. I'm sacrificing that power and that stick height in order to be able to achieve that same speed or greater speeds for much more longer extended periods of time. And this can relate to what we see in the video as far as his bass drum technique is concerned, because you'll notice his feet are making larger movements per se when we're hitting, this BPM range here, which is the 270 per 16th notes that we see for the main groove in the song. However, when we get to this area right here, the 472 16th notes, which is equivalent to this, but we're just going to do this because this kind of gives it a little bit more of a graspable approach. This is where things get a little bit wonky. If you look in the video, he's barely moving his feet at all. So just based off of what we know with our correlation between power and speed, and also just generally what we can correlate with the hands when it comes to stick heights and power and speed and all that stuff, if we're going to do an audio sample, which we will, 472 using 8th notes, we'll insert that right here. He's doing that on one foot, and that means coincidentally he has to do that on the opposite foot on the notes in between to make up the 16th note roll. This is where things don't set well with me here, because it's supposed to be ankle motion when he's doing it. It's clearly not double strokes because the foot motion does not mimic that of double strokes. Not saying that it's impossible to do with double strokes, but what I'm saying is that in the video it looks as if he's trying to do single strokes. So if he's doing it at that speed on each foot, that's first of all insanely fast, but second of all, that would mean that the amount of space that his foot is moving in is so minusculely small, and the speed that he's moving at is so insanely high, he's going to be generating little to no power in order to be able to achieve that speed. So what does this mean? This means that basically he's just going to be tapping the pedal board with his foot and not being able to generate enough power to make it move whatsoever, which again, we can see that happen in the video. He's barely even moving the pedal board whatsoever when he's pushing down with his foot. Now, here's the thing too, is that we also, in the other previous video, we slowed it down and showed that, hey, he's actually hitting unison strokes. And I had people say, those aren't unison strokes, those are double stops. And fun fact, it means the same damn thing. It doesn't matter. You can call them unison strokes. Unison strokes means that you have 2 or more strokes hitting at the exact same time. Oh my God. I didn't think I had to spell that out for you people. Come on, dude. Really? Come on, dude. Really? Really? Do I have to explain this to you in the simplest of terms? Okay, regardless of that, let's go ahead and get back on track here. So realistically, basing things off of our graph and basing things off of the audio samples we heard just a second ago, he would be having to put out such an insane amount of speed on 1 foot that using the graph that we have right here, his power output would be so low, with his speed being as high as it possibly can go, that he would not generate enough power to be able to push down the mechanics of his pedal board in order to get a pedal to move. This would move the pedal if his spring tension wasn't as high. But based on some of the different videos that I've seen and based on how, his beaters move and all that, he's got very high spring tension. So I guarantee you guys anything that he can't actually play it that fast. And there's no two doubts about that in my mind. This is just based off of the different muscle groups that we have available, the different articles that I've been able to try and find online that are regarding, the twitch muscle fibers, and the differences in between of the Gastrocnemius and the Solius, and just generally their correlation and which one picks up most of the weight when it compares to that, and also just, the types of muscle responses that you get from either one and which one is better for which. Just based off that information, based off the BPM that we have as well for some of the bass drum parts, things just don't add up. We're talking he would have to move his feet several miles per hour faster than humans could run in order to be able to achieve speeds that darn quickly in order to be able to play it. And here's the thing, that's not even the fastest song that they have available. He's got bass drum parts that are even faster than that people say that he played. I'm not even joking. You can go ahead and look up some of their discography. It's freaking ridiculous. But this all brings me back to my original point here. Were the drum tracks on their albums and all their songs and all that, were they programmed? Yes, simply because of 2 reasons. One, we have no quantifiable evidence of him actually being able to record those drum parts, even if it was on an electric kit that he was able to plug in Superior Drummer 2, which again, we've already confirmed via several articles that are out there, as well as also if we go and listen to the sound samples ourselves. There's no way to prove that he was able to sit down on an electric kit, load up Superior Drummer 2 as the plug-in sound, plug it into the electric kit, play at those exact insane speeds, and then go and put them on a record, and then just go in and post and then quantize it. There's no evidence of that. When it comes to quantizing, that takes a lot more work than people actually think. Because here's the thing, when he goes into quantize, that means he has to go in and fix all the little errors that he made, make sure everything's all perfectly put in time, make sure that everything is all perfectly spaced, go in and change values and everything like that, even all the way down to the dynamics, the amount of room that each little MIDI note is putting up. And I will give people who quantize that takes a lot more effort and courage than I want to put into a mix any day of the week. It is way easier to program drums. And here's the thing, knowing them and knowing things that have been put out about their band, they just programmed it. Not only that, but there are also articles that are available that show that Aaron Kitcher, yes, did program the drums. These are articles that are widely available all over the internet. You can take a look at them online. That's not my responsibility to provide them to you. You can look them up for yourself. Let's not also forget, though, that what is Infant Annihilator at the end of the day? Now, mind you, this is something that I've had a lot of people comment to me over the past several months. And mind you guys, I already know the ultimate thing to remember when it comes to anything with Infant Annihilator is that they are a meme band. It's all a meme, right? So does that make it okay? I don't necessarily think so, actually. A lot of the stuff that they were doing, and again, people think that I take things way too serious all the time. Guys, you gotta remember, a lot of times, no. A lot of times when I'm trying to act arrogant and all that stuff on here, you gotta remember, half the time I'm putting on a persona. Kind of like how you have someone like, what's a good example? Chael Sonnen in the UFC. I'm sure you guys remember Chael Sonnen, the gangster, the American gangster. Y'all remember that dude? The guy who was sitting there like, I'm the one with the most charm and who's gonna do the most harm. The guy who would talk smack on all his opponents and, who really kicked off, being the heel and being the bad guy. Yeah, that dude. That whole thing was a persona. In reality, Chael is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Very kind, sweetheart of a fella. It helped to drum up a lot of new watchers to the UFC because they wanted to see what the bad guy, they wanted to see what the American gangster, what Chael Sonnen was gonna say. Because his smack talk was so legendary. Now, do I know that Infant Annihilator is a meme band? Obviously, yes. Did I really need to sit here and do an entire whiteboard demonstration as well as dive into hundreds of hours of scientific research that has been put up on online for me to take a look at regarding physiology and biology and anatomy and all that stuff. Did I really need to do that? Not really. But the thing is that I wanted to. As I've stated in all my previous other videos, a lot of beginning drummers will come into the industry, especially the ones who are like starting to listen to death metal and all that for the first time, and they're like, oh my gosh, I found the genre that I want to do. They'll occur across a band such as Infant Annihilator, not knowing that they are this, and they'll immediately start thinking, this is humanly possible. When in reality, they have no idea about this graph right here. They don't have any knowledge incoming of what any of this stuff is, and they have no idea of how realistic this could possibly be. This, or any of these other tempos that are listed on here. And just basing off of what I could find online and also what's readily available as far as given information. Now, with that being said, there is going to be some changes that we have with all this stuff when it comes into regards to mechanics and all that stuff. However, there are still principles of biology that are still going to remain, such as this graph right here, such as the muscles, because no matter what, if we don't have the muscles to be able to support and to push the mechanics that we have available, we're not going to be able to abuse the mechanics and use them to our benefit. And again, all the articles that I found are used to sources will be linked down below, so that way you can read them. There's a reason why I say he faked it, because he did. So thanks for everyone for tuning into this little chaotic biology lesson. If you guys want to see more whiteboard videos, by the way, or see me use a whiteboard a whole lot more to explain stuff using, physics and biology and stuff like that, yeah, absolutely. I would be more than happy to do so. I love doing little teaching moments like this because it gives me a good way to draw pictures. I'm a very visual person myself, so sometimes words alone don't explain things. Having a nice little diagram that I can draw to give you a demonstration sometimes can help me a little bit more as well. It may help with explaining things a little bit. And yeah, with all that being said, that's the end of this video. So thanks for tuning in to my whiteboard video explaining how Aaron Kitcher faked his video and how I proved that it's faked using science. And if you want to see more videos like this, just let me know down in the comments below. I would be more than happy to do some more whiteboard videos. I think it's fun. So I will see you guys in the next video. So cheers everyone, and as always, thank you guys for watching. God bless, and I will see y'all in the next video. So cheers, have a good one.